Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
There's no crying in podcasting, Chaos Kids. I'm Amber.
Oh, I am fucked.
Yeah.
I'm Naomi. And this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos.
Yes, it is.
Okay, now I have to have a good cry.
No. Oh, my God. Do you have a cry-worthy story? Is that what you're telling
Do
me?
you know I actually did tear up a little bit as I was finishing up this story. I had a moment. But you know me, I cry at everything.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
No crying at podcasting, except on this one.
Yeah. Oh, you mean this podcast?
Yes, exactly. Sister, hello.
Hello.
Oh, I was going to say, like, how are you? What's going on? But we just did like a half an hour recap with each other before we hit record.
Correct.
Because none of it is fit for public consumption.
No.
But there's a lot going on around here.
Yeah, we've got world problems.
We have
We have world problems. Oh, my God.
Oh. Well, what do you want to tell them then?
Well, I'll tell you another thing that was a shit storm.
And another thing.
Another thing. This is where it's at for me. So last night, fucking exhausted because of all my world problems, right?
Uh-huh.
So exhausted. I want nothing more than to like lay down and just be done todaying. As soon as I lay down, no kidding, I get heartburn that reminded me of like pregnancy that I have not had since like so bad out of nowhere. So I have to sit up in bed for like an hour, like nodding off till it passes. Then this morning I woke up and this eye was swollen shut.
What?
Can't lie about this.
With pink eye? Do you have pink eye?
It feels like I've got something in my eye, kind of.
Do you have a sty on the inside of your eyelid?
Probably.
Oh, sister.
I've got makeup to make it look better, which is probably bad for. But that's the level I'm operating at today. How about you?
Look, we're just really lucky that I was not racing to get my story together today because my shit is just not together over here. I don't know what is going on. I have been exhausted again. The nausea is coming back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, some of the Chaos Kids who've been around for a while remember, I'm a little concerned that I'm going into another bout. I'm going into another bout of hormonal bullshit. So lots of napping, which you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I fucking hate a nap. And I've been taking too many of them.
Ugh.
So that's just one little piece of my world problems.
I'm sorry, sister.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm feeling okay right now. And after we get done recording, I'm going to go make some rustic olive bread.
Love that. I love that for you. I'm going to make some beef and broccoli stir fry.
That sounds delicious.
Thank you. Also, I'm drinking water because I don't dare drink wine or anything acidic after last night's, almost didn't sleep.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise heartburn.
I'm keeping it at bay. Yeah.
I feel like we have something for the good of the order today.
We do. We have a new Chaos Kid Club member.
We have a new Chaos Kids Club member.
Brett R. Welcome.
Brett.
Brett.
What the fuck up, Brett? Welcome.
Welcome.
It's amazing. I told Amber before we started, every time a dude signs up for the Patreon, I'm like simultaneously shocked and impressed.
Me
Welcome
too.
to the club.
Me too.
Yeah. That's good shit.
Good for you, Brett. This is a
Welcome.
safe space.
Glad to have you. Sister,
yeah.
Let's just get into it.
Okay.
I have a bummer for you. Should I
Great.
just tell you this bummer story?
Sure, might as well. Throw another log on the fire.
Yep, I got you. I'm going to tell you about what happened to Christopher Gray.
Okay.
So it's October of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Gray is 25 years old. He's living with the Crowley family in Groton, Vermont. Groton is a small rural town.
Rural. Mm-hmm. Hate that word.
so much.
Mhm.
Near the eastern border of Vermont with a population of about 1,000 people.
All right.
Annie Crowley is an angel of a woman, and she regularly takes in disabled people to help them make their way in the world.
Wow.
Chris was one of 3 children and had spent much of his childhood as a ward of the state. He had a speech impediment, a very low IQ, developmental delays, and ADD. He grew up in Bradford, Vermont, about half an hour south of Groton, literally on the border of Vermont and New Hampshire, and attended school programs aimed at helping troubled children.
Mm-hmm.
Annie considered Chris first and foremost a friend, but she was also his legal guardian. She had known Chris as a child and had developed a bond with him. She had done some respite work for him, which is basically like small amounts of care for like high functioning people that have needs, like that need some help, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not like live-in care or all-day care.
Right.
And even as a 25-year-old, Chris still required some assistance in his daily living. Chris had been living with the Crowleys for about 2 years at this point, after he had decided he just didn't want to live with his dad anymore. He had lived with his dad for quite a few years. His parents had been divorced for a long time, but he couldn't live on his own because of his disabilities. So I think like living with Annie and her girls and like her husband, that must have felt like he was more on his own than living with his parents would have been,
totally.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Annie's kids adored Chris, and he watched out for her 2 young daughters in the house, and he was an enthusiastic contributor to the household chores. Annie's mom, Pat, said that they all fell in love with Chris almost instantly. He was described as very friendly and likable and very outgoing, and Annie says that Chris didn't feel any different than if she had considered, like, than if he was like her own son.
Yeah.
He was just part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to party a little bit, and he had friends that he would hang out with at their houses. He was, by most accounts, a normal 25-year-old with a heart of gold. And he would be there for anybody.
Oh, he sounds like a sweetie pie.
Totally. Chris had a few jobs as a young adult, including fast food work and retail, but he struggled sometimes because he hid his disabilities from his employers. Eventually, Chris got a job working at the Woodsville Walmart in New Hampshire as a cashier, and he was regarded as very good at his job. Annie says that Chris enjoyed his job there, but likely mostly for the socialization over anything else.
Right.
His goal wasn't to work at Walmart.
Right.
He really liked to work on cars, and he thought about becoming a mechanic, but what he really wanted to do was be a licensed nurse's aide and help people.
Mm.
And he wanted to have a family of his own.
Mm-hmm.
On the morning of the 6th of October, Chris went to his shift at Walmart like normal. So around 6 p.m. that evening, he called the house and talked to Annie. He told her he was going to a friend's house, and he said that if he didn't come home that night, not to panic, that he would come home the next day either before or after work. And she said, okay, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
On the next day, the 7th, Chris didn't come home that night after work, and Annie just knew something was wrong. Chris was just so good about being where he said he would be and keeping in touch, especially to let her know when he wasn't going to be home.
Right.
Annie started to make calls. She called his cell phone and it went directly to voicemail. She called a couple times and left him a couple of messages asking him where he was, what was going on, telling him to call her back. She tried to go to bed, but was only half sleeping because her gut was telling her that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
The next morning, the 8th, her husband got up around 5 a.m. to get ready for work, and she asked him if Chris was home, and he said no. Annie knew that there were some co-workers of Chris's that he rode with to and from work, so she went to their house to find out if they had seen or heard from Chris. And they said that not only had they not seen or talked to him, but he was a no-call, no-show at work the day before.
Oh, no.
They had last seen him on the 6th, and they didn't give him a ride anywhere after work. He'd gotten a ride with someone else, but they didn't know who.
Oh, no.
Annie immediately went home and called the Vermont State Police.
Mm-hmm.
Detective Potter took Annie's call. She was distraught, of course. Potter took down all the information Annie had about Chris, what he was wearing when he left the house last, who she had already talked to, anyone he may have been seen with, and, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Annie had real concerns that someone may have taken advantage of Chris. He was not good at picking up cues and recognizing when someone wasn't being nice to him.
Oh.
She just knew that whatever was happening was completely out of his control because he would have called her if he could.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I got to the end of the story and it just, there were so many parts about it that reminded me so much of
The girl.
yes, Maria.
Yeah.
Was her name Maria?
Oh.
You know what the one I'm talking about.
Yes, with the
I know you know
boy
the one
and
I'm
the
talking-
girlfriend and pretending they wanted to hang out with her.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yep. So Potter's first call was to dispatch to enter Chris into the National Crime Information Center as a missing person. Then he reached out to the Intelligence Center to have them do a ping on Chris's phone. The Intelligence Center determined that Chris's phone had been shut off on the 6th, the day that he left for work and went out with friends after his shift. Mm-hmm. There had been no activity on his phone for 2 days. Potter headed to Walmart while the Intelligence Center worked on tracking down the last location Chris's phone was detected on the network. He met with the manager at Walmart, and the manager told Potter that he had worked with Chris on the 6th and that he was also concerned that Chris had not been at work in 2 days.
Right.
The Walmart was actually brand new, and the security system was pretty sophisticated with several cameras inside and outside the store. So the manager took Potter in back to review the footage from the 6th at the time right after the end of Chris's shift at 11:30 p.m.
That's good.
An interior camera pointed at the doors to the building captured Chris leaving at that time, and it looked like he was looking for someone outside. He walks back into the store a moment later, and when he leaves the second time, he's wearing a coat and a ball cap.
Okay.
On the exterior camera, they see a car pull up to the front of the store. It looks like a black Honda. The back door behind the driver's side opens. Someone in a yellow hoodie gets out, stands next to the car door, and Chris ducks into the back seat, and yellow hoodie guy gets back in and closes the door, and then the car drives off. And the store manager said he did not recognize yellow hoodie dude.
Okay. Were they able to get a license plate number?
So they searched the cameras, pointed at the parking lot, looking for other angles on the car. They see the Honda come into the parking lot and park about an hour and a half before the end of Chris's shift. They can also see the license plate is white, which is the only thing they could tell about the license plate, but that does mean it is a New Hampshire plate.
Okay. An hour and a half is a long time to wait if you're picking somebody up.
To just be hanging out?
Yeah.
Well, Potter took still photos from the surveillance footage of the Honda to the Haverhill police to enlist their help. One of the seasoned officers there, Detective Trott, had suspicions of who that car belonged to, but wanted a clearer image before he said for sure. So he went to Walmart himself to look at the footage with his own eyes. That's when he sees there's a fin on the back of the trunk, or like behind the back window of the Honda, and a very distinctive red stripe along the bottom on the side of the car.
Is that like a spoiler? Is that what you mean?
Kind of like a fin, like a spoiler.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. Trott knew exactly who that car belonged to once he saw the red stripe in the fin.
Mm-hmm.
He said that car belongs to 18-year-old Michael Robbie. This was someone that the local PD had interacted with a number of times, but Michael Robbie was in the Grafton County Jail on a few minor offenses. So who the fuck was driving the car?
Mm-hmm.
Trott and the manager start combing through the video footage looking for any other captures of this car. And they see at one point the car drives right up and parks in front of the doors, and two men get out of the car and go inside. One of them is yellow hoodie guy.
Mm-hmm.
So when they look at the interior footage of them walking in, Trott recognizes yellow hoodie guy as 23-year-old Timothy Smith.
Okay.
Timothy worked at the Subway in the same complex as the Walmart. The other guy, all in black with a white baseball cap, Trott identifies him as 18-year-old Anthony Howe. Trott knows Anthony's family personally. Anthony and Tim are cousins.
Oh. Wow,
So
this
you
guy
gotta
really
get a-
has a good inside scoop on these people.
Well, okay, I was going to say, this guy is like, he's been around for a long time. He's been in a part of the Haverhill Police Department for a long, long, long time, really involved in the community. And much like Groton, Haverhill, I don't think it's as small as Groton, but it's still a really small town.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of anonymity going on in this place.
Gotcha.
But they still don't know who is driving Robbie's car. They finally find footage outside of someone exiting the driver's seat. They are wearing a white hoodie and gray pants, and they walk into the store. The interior camera that captures this person walking into the store reveals it is a woman that Trot and the Walmart manager both know.
Oh.
A Walmart employee named Amber Talbot. And this makes sense because she is Michael Robbie's girlfriend.
Oh, shit.
And she's looking around the store like maybe she's looking for someone. Amber was 17 and she worked in the health and beauty aid section at Walmart.
Okay.
At this point, Trot is picking up this case as it is clearly in his jurisdiction now. The 3 people that Chris left with all stayed on a piece of property in Haverhill, New Hampshire, which is about half an hour or 40 minutes away from Groton. Past Amber's mom's place is another house on the property where they all lived, but when Trot gets there, the Honda is not there and no one answered the door when he knocked, so he put a business card in the door and left.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always amazed by this tactic that they use. They just put a business card at the door like,
call me.
homicide detective, really want to talk to you.
Yeah.
What?
No, thanks. No, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So after heading back to the station and checking in with Potter over in Groton, Trot gets a message that Amber Talbot had actually called.
Oh.
She was expecting Trot to call her back. And she actually came to the police station and met Trot out in the parking lot. Anthony Howe was in the car with her.
Oh.
Robbie's Honda, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Amber agreed to come into the station to talk. But before they went inside, Anthony asked Trot a question. He wanted to know if Trot was aware of any arrest warrants that were out for him. And he was visibly nervous, which was uncharacteristic of him. And Trot told him he didn't know of any, but that he would check.
Mm-hmm.
So in the interview room, Amber tells police that she had last seen Chris on that Monday, the 6th, and that he had asked her at work prior to that Monday if she would be able to give him a ride after work that night. And she said she did, along with Anthony Howe and Timothy Smith. She claimed they had driven him to Newbury Crossing and dropped him off, and that was the last time that they had seen Chris.
Okay.
She had no idea who he was meeting there, but was specific and adamant that it was Newbury Crossing where she had left him.
Okay.
And just as they were about to end the interview and leave, Amber said she actually remembered that she dropped Chris off in front of a house on Route 5 in Newbury, not at Newbury Crossing.
What?
Yeah. So when they asked her why she didn't say that in the first place, she said because she actually didn't know where Newbury Crossing was.
Wait, what?
Right. And it was clear that this was all the information they were going to get from her.
Uh-huh.
So Trot walked her out and he met Anthony, who agreed to come inside with him. And they took him to an interview room, eased his mind that there were no arrest warrants out for him,
Mm-hmm.
and asked him about the night of October 6th. He said they went to Walmart, picked up Chris. They left Walmart, made a quick trip to Newbury Crossing. They dropped him off. Trot asked him if he was 100% sure of that, and Anthony said he wanted to speak with Trot alone.
Oh.
So the other officer stepped outside, and Trot pulled out a recorder, leaned in across the table, looked at Anthony right in the eye, and said, "Tell me what's going on. How did it come about that Chris gets a ride from you guys?"
Mm-hmm.
Anthony tells Trot that Tim asked Chris if he would like to come hang out with them that night and just chill for a little while. As Anthony talks, Trot can tell that he's nervous. He's like wrenching his hands. He's looking around while he's talking. He says they drove back to the house and all the guys got out of the car. Amber didn't get out of the car, and Tim told her to go to her mom's house where she would end up spending the night.
So is this okay, so he had told Annie that he was going out with friends after work. So
Yes.
This is who he was referring to.
It must be.
Okay. And she didn't have any other information, like as far as where.
Nope.
Okay.
And also later would say that he didn't even really know these people. Not really. Like, these weren't people he like regularly hung out with.
Right.
So Anthony says Amber leaves to go to her mom's house where she spends the night. And then he went inside. Tim and Chris followed him in. And then Anthony goes back outside to start a fire in the fire pit. And the three of them all hanging out around the fire. And about 20 minutes later, he looked over towards the fire and he could tell that Tim looked upset. Chris was quiet. He wasn't saying anything at all. And Tim just reaches over with a knife and starts stabbing Chris.
What? What the fuck?
Yeah. So Trot takes a break and leaves Anthony in the interview room. And when he comes back, he reads Anthony his Miranda rights. Anthony decides to waive his rights and continues to speak with the police. So Trot wants Anthony to describe exactly what he saw.
Right.
Anthony says he saw Tim pull a knife from the back of his pants and come up from behind Chris. He jumped on Chris's back, wrapped an arm around his throat, and pulled him down to the ground, and Tim just kept stabbing Chris. He also told police that 2 knives were used. And when asked if he had stabbed Chris at all, Anthony claimed he had not. In one article, I actually read that Anthony admitted to police that he had been the one to grab Chris and hold him while telling Tim to do it now.
What the fuck?
Supposedly, he then watched Tim drag Chris's body up and over the bank, and Tim told Anthony to give him a hand, and Anthony helped Tim drag Chris's body behind some bushes. Anthony ran inside. He had some blood on his hands and he washed it off. And he tried to forget that anything had even fucking happened by going into the living room and turning on a funny movie.
How many times have we heard this? It's so creepy.
We'll just watch a movie. It's fine.
I can't even get a funny movie to help me through a bad day at work. Like, no, that I can't. I'm just festering on this. Like, oh, we just killed someone. Let's turn on a movie and all will be well.
It's hilarious. Haven't you seen American Pie, Amber?
Is that what they watched?
I don't know.
I was going to say, oh my God, it just keeps getting worse.
No, it's probably an Adam Sandler film. Okay, so then Anthony tells Trot, quote, and then we dug a hole today and buried him.
Oh my God.
Anthony told the police that his fingerprints would be on the knife and some of the other evidence because he had handled them. He tried to help clean up. He helped move and bury the body. Anthony was a part of this murder, but he was holding on to Tim being the actual murderer.
Right.
So now it's time to bring in Timothy Smith for questioning. Trot sat in another room and watched and listened to the interview with Timothy. Timothy claimed that he and Chris had been fighting all night, and it turned into a brawl where they ended up on the ground and, quote, I ended up stabbing him a couple times, Timothy says.
You know how that happens sometimes.
Yeah, you just end up stabbing people.
Well, I ended up stabbing him because we weren't getting along. What? That's not what normal people do.
He also told police that he'd done a bunch of coke and drank a 12-pack of beer that night.
Okay.
He said he put Chris's body in the barn for a day so nobody would know, and then he put it behind Amber's house, dug a big hole, and put him in it.
Oh.
And he was crying as he made his confession a little bit, and he said he was sorry, and he even offered and actually wrote out a letter of apology to Chris's family, which I'm not even going to read because it's fucking ridiculous. The house where these murderers lived was secured and processed as the crime scene, which is where both knives were located, exactly where Anthony said they would be. One of the knives and some clothing were found in a well on the property. The clothes were bloodstained. The second knife and more clothing was recovered in the attic. The bonfire area showed that it had tried to use water and paint to cover up the blood on the ground around the fire pit. Anthony and Tim had rolled Chris's body back behind the house in a wheelbarrow and buried him in a shallow grave. Chris's ID and phone were found with his body, which was wrapped in a green blanket. Trot and another officer went to Annie's house to notify her.
Oh, no.
Annie said as soon as she saw them walking towards the door, she knew. And she felt so much guilt She was Chris's guardian. She was supposed to be looking out for him. And how was she going to tell his family?
Yeah.
Anthony Howe and Timothy Smith are arrested and charged with murder. But Trott is still trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
Why did Tim murder Chris? It didn't make any sense.
No.
In a subsequent interview with Anthony, Anthony mentions something about Amber having a call recently with her fiance, Michael Robbie, in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So police get all the recordings for their phone calls during Michael's time in county. That's when they hear Amber tell Michael they killed the guy. There are other calls between Michael and Tim and Anthony where they talk about harming Chris just weeks before Chris's murder. And it becomes clear that the mastermind behind this whole plan was actually Michael Robbie.
Oh my. Why though? Why?
Trott calls Amber back into the station for another interview, and he tells her they have more information that indicates she was directly involved in what happened to Chris. She stuck to her story about dropping Chris off in Newbury in front of some house. And then they play her the jail phone call where she tells Michael that it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And she finally admits that she did bring Chris to the house, that Tim did tell her to leave, that Tim stabbed Chris.
Right.
And when asked why, she said it was because Chris had been hitting on her and Michael didn't like that.
Oh my God. Wow.
She said that Chris would follow her around the store at work and tell her she was cute. Amber said when Michael found out, because she told him,
Yeah.
he was afraid of losing her. Some other man was moving in on his woman while he was locked up.
Sorry. Wow.
Amber claims that Michael just wanted Chris to get beat up, but Tim told her he was going to kill Chris. And she dropped Chris off with Tim and Anthony anyway. And there's like zero emotion coming from Amber at all through any of this conversation. She is not bothered.
Yeah.
One bit.
Gross.
Police determined that this was all orchestrated by Michael and Amber, and police charged them both with conspiracy to commit murder.
Mm-hmm.
And like all four of these idiots are talking about all this on the phone with Michael in jail.
Don't people know that if you're in the jail, it's being recorded?
It literally says it before you start talking.
I know.
Every call. This call is being recorded. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that every call made through the jail is recorded and kept. They had over 200 hours of their phone calls just between Amber and Michael.
Fucking idiots.
Like what? Timothy Smith, Anthony Howe, and Amber Talbot all took plea deals and pled guilty to second-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. But they didn't have evidence that Michael Robbie directly requested that these three kill Chris. So he negotiates a plea deal for lesser charges for assault, conspiracy to commit assault, hindering apprehension, and conspiracy to hinder apprehension.
Okay.
Amber Talbot received 25 to 50 years. Timothy Smith and Anthony Howe were sentenced to 40 years to life, and Michael Robbie received 20 to 40 years.
Good.
In Annie's own words, and this is where I got a little teary, she said, Chris was an amazing young man who taught me a lot. I learned from Chris because I knew that Chris had difficulties and barriers and blocks in his life that kept him from maybe getting what everybody else came naturally to. He was so strong and pushing through those things. Even in the worst of the worst times when he was feeling down and out, he was just so full of life, and he just brought a sense of purpose to my life, knowing he would forever be watching over me and that he, in fact, is my guardian.
Oh.
And that is the murder of Christopher Gray.
Well, fuck. That is so fucking senseless.
100%.
And you know, this Amber girl is just like loving the fact that, you know,
yes,
I'm just so irresistible and I have to tell my boyfriend about it because it makes me seem even more irresistible.
Yes.
You know, it's so gross.
It's all.
Oh. And then.
Yeah, it's all just.
Pretending like they want to hang out with him.
Right?
God damn it. I hate teenagers and young adults.
Right?
God.
It's another one of them. It's another one of those stories where like a group of fucking under 25s get together
Come up with some shit hot idea.
Because the best solution to this guy is hitting on my girlfriend when they work together is to murder him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Michael is so fucking insecure while he's locked up in county.
Right? This sweet, sweet young man who is nothing but nice to fucking everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And wants to be friends with everybody. That's why it reminded me so much of Maria Santina. Because it was just like the same vibe of like this naivete that like I'm a good person and so is everybody else and I want to be friends. So of course everybody wants to be my friend. And not catching the cues of ulterior motives and when people aren't being kind and
right. Oh, that's devastating. I hate that.
Yeah. Sorry, sister. That's what I got for you today.
Thanks, I guess. Well, at least I've got a palate cleanser here a little bit.
Great. Give it to me.
I'm going to tell you about Octomom.
Oh, shit. You know what? I almost put her on my list because I feel like she was back in the news not that long ago.
Yeah.
I almost put her on my list, so I'm excited for this.
Okay, good.
I'm excited for this.
Feel a little bit differently about her after doing this.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we'll talk about her. Her name is Nadya Suleman.
Uh-huh.
She was born in Fullerton, California, as the only child of Angela Suleman, who was a school teacher of Lithuanian descent. My lisp flared up. Lithuanian. And Edward Suleman, a Palestinian restaurant owner turned realtor who worked as a translator in Iraq.
Wow.
I know. Smarty smart pants.
Okay.
She went to Nogales High School in La Puente, California, and later Mount San Antonio College in Walnut, where she earned a psychiatric technical license. She went on to receive a bachelor's degree in child development and worked for a state mental hospital for a couple of years.
Okay.
So her and her partner she really wanted to have children, and her and her partner tried multiple times to get pregnant naturally. But when that didn't happen, she said that she felt called to be a mother, not a wife so much. So she ditched the partner and decided to do IVF on her own.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
And her first round of IVF gave her 6 children, not all at once, but through different rounds of IVF, 6 kids.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of kids.
Yep.
We're good, right?
Oh.
That's 6 times the number of kids I have or you have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's 3 times. Well, I guess technically
3 times the amount.
3
of
times
kids
what?
I have.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but like still,
it's a lot of kids. Yeah,
it's a lot of kids for one person by themselves.
Right. So her oldest, Elijah, was born in May of 2001. Then her daughter, Amara, was born July of 2002. Then son Joshua in 2003. Then Aiden in 2005. And Aiden was diagnosed with autism disorder, and he requires like 24-hour care and always will.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. He's nonverbal, needs help with like eating, bathing, getting dressed, things like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Calissa and Caleb, who are fraternal twins, were the last 2 born in 2007. So she wanted to have just one more baby after her first 6.
Just one more.
It's always just one more.
Okay.
Yeah. She has never confirmed who the donor was, but all of her children, all 14 of them, are from the same donor.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So after her first 6, she still had frozen embryos. She wanted that one more. And at the time, she lived with her mom and her 6 kids.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Her parents had separated, and she had originally moved in with her mom to save for the IVF treatments because they're very expensive.
Yes.
And she had gone back to school. She was a full-time college student, and she was getting straight A's. But her mom was like really critical of her decision to have more children on her own, and very much resented the fact that basically she was raising these kids with her daughter, and now you're going to have more.
Right. Mm-hmm. This is all very fair. Mm-hmm. These are fair feelings for her mom to have.
Yes. So she believed that a seventh baby would complete her family.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And she always had multiple embryos implanted. I guess a lot of people do this because it will increase the odds. And she only had so many frozen embryos left, right?
Right.
And the odds of them, like of her having, she had twins once. So she knew that that was a possibility. So
Right.
whatever. But she's going for one. So she had 12 frozen embryos left. And according to the doctor, 6 were implanted. And it appears as though her body was like rejecting them somehow. So he did another 6, all in the same day.
So she had 12 implanted in the same day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when she gets the confirmation that she is pregnant with multiples, her OB told her that whoever this doctor was that told her it was safe to implant this many embryos at once should lose their license.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, side note,
Mm-hmm.
I have learned through other documentaries that I've watched that IVF as a practice of medicine
Mm-hmm.
is like not regulated really at all by like the medical overseers.
Yikes.
That's a whole other like conversation. But yeah, there's a lot of fucked shit that goes on all over the place in the IVF space because it's completely like it's basically not regulated and there's no oversight.
That's scary.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, side note, in 2011, during an investigation by the Medical Board of California, it was found that this doctor, Dr. Kamrava, did transfer all 12 embryos, which the board found to be an extreme departure from standard care. And after reviewing Nadya's case in combination with 3 other cases, the Medical Board of California revoked his medical license.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So she gets confirmation from her OB that she's pregnant with 7 babies. And her OB suggests that she terminate some of the pregnancies because at this time, there had never been this many babies born at once. And it was extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Humans aren't designed for litters. Like 2 is bad. Like having twins is hard.
Yeah.
I've known a couple of people personally who've gone through like having twins and what it does to a woman's body just to have twins is, and to the babies themselves, they can never go full term. They always are born early because to go full term is essentially impossible.
Right.
For 2 full grown babies to like full term babies to be in one woman's body is like, we're not made for that.
No. And not to mention the, after they're out of your body. Like I babysat both of my grandbabies on Friday.
Yes, you did.
And the littlest one, like she was, granted, this is babysitting. I'm not her mom, but she was just having a rough night and I just had to carry her around all night.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You can't possibly give the babies the attention that they need.
2 is pushing the limit because you have 2 arms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can carry around 2 babies. After that, someone's getting neglected.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So they're trying to encourage her to terminate some of these pregnancies, but she refuses. She's like, I am absolutely not going to do that.
It's so, it's really irresponsible.
I know.
It's really irresponsible.
So she's already a single mom and she's trying to make a plan for how she's going to raise 13 children. And
she went overnight. Overnight, she became a Duggar.
I know. Accidental Duggar. God. T-shirt. Oh my God. And so, of course, when her mom finds out that she's pregnant with 7, she fucking loses her shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all coming to our house. Can you... Oh.
Erase you home.
Erase. Fuck no.
Right?
You have to buy like a bus. Well, first you have to learn how to drive a bus. Like there's a lot that's going into this.
And this isn't even a short bus. You need a full-size bus.
Full-size bus. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Because you can't fit that many babies in a 12-seat passenger van.
No.
Like, that's not enough.
No. Plus she's got oh my God. Okay. So at 8 months pregnant, she's hospitalized in order to stay in the hospital until she gives birth, which leaves her mom caring for the 6 that are still at home by her.
This mom.
And her mom's like, I'll take care of the 6 because I have no choice, but I'm not coming back to visit you. And I don't want anything to do with these 7 other babies.
Oh.
Mom mic dropped on her. She just got served.
She did. Holy shit.
Yeah. So it's while she's in the hospital that the hospital starts talking to her about doing a press conference because, this was like an unprecedented thing. And she's like, no, not interested. Leave me alone. Right.
Okay.
So she has the babies via C-section. And it was as they're pulling these babies out that they learn that there's an 8th baby that was just shoved in there.
Overlooked?
Yep.
Just.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And thus Octomom
Gave birth.
Yep.
Okay.
So these 8 babies are born January of 2009. They are Noah, Malia, Isaiah, Nariah, Jonah, Makai, Josiah, and Jeremiah.
Was a bullfrog.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Was a bullfrog. It's giving me so much stress just thinking about it.
I am so anxious right now.
Do you think you eventually get totally not bothered at all by the sound of babies crying? Like you don't even hear it? Like you just have to, like that's just like white noise?
I don't even know.
So she doesn't even have 8 car seats. She's got 7.
Right.
And she's in a lot of pain, but she is refusing pain meds because she wants to breastfeed. So
okay, but you can breastfeed on pain meds.
This is just what she said.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So while she's still in the hospital, a publicist comes in to meet with her. And because she has been in the hospital, she has no idea that she has turned into this media sensation and that she's being called Octomom, like all over the world.
A publicist comes to visit her in the hospital.
Via the hospital, courtesy of the hospital. And people are criticizing her for having 14 children and no job.
Sure.
I love that you thought about it. That tracks. Yeah. Yeah, that's criticism worthy. And this publicist wants to do a press release to help control the narrative, but she refuses to address any media.
Control the narrative. How do you control this narrative? This woman just gave birth to an accidental
Let me explain. Linda, listen. I can explain.
Look, I thought it was 7. It's not my fault that there's 8.
Yeah. I could do 7, but 8? Ooh.
It was totally reasonable when it was 7. It went over the line at 8.
Over the line at, oh God. So she's refusing to do anything, but she doesn't know that her mom has already, like her mom's house is being swarmed by media. And so
Sure. Mm-hmm.
They're like, if you don't address this, you won't be able to go home and be with your other 6 kids. Like you need to do something. Right.
Okay.
So she agrees to do an interview with Ann Curry.
Just straight to Ann Curry.
I know. I'm not doing any media. Where's Katie Couric? I'll do that. I'll do Baba Wawa. Oh my God.
Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Oprah or GTFO?
Right? And you can watch this interview. It's not great. She says that she grew up as an only child in a dysfunctional family, and all she ever wanted was a large family. I mean, definitely, you don't have kids to soothe your wounds. You have kids because you want kids, but...
Don't even get me started on... I can't... Definitely don't have kids if you're going to resent them your whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But your kids are not there to... be your therapy blanket.
Mm-hmm. No. So it's still a media shit show at her mom's house. So the hotel pays for, or the hospital pays for a hotel with for her to stay in, but she's without her kids still.
Because they're all in the NICU.
They're all in the NICU, and the 6 kids are barricaded inside her mom's house, right? So her mom is fucking pissed. And so she allows the reporters to come into her home, and she gives them full access to family photos, and she even issues a rebuttal statement.
I'm sorry. Mom.
Yeah. Mom went on to say that her daughter had a wonderful childhood and that she was just irresponsibly having kids and that she didn't support her decision to have more. And, basically just
threw Octomom under the bus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So this publicist keeps trying and trying and trying to get her to, capitalize on Octomom, but she refuses. So it gets to be time for the babies to be released from the NICU. She has no job and her disability checks are not coming in. And her mom has obviously made her point.
Yes.
So she has nowhere to go. So she reluctantly agrees to embrace Octomom life so that she can make some money.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she was very reluctant.
I will just say as an aside, my main source is from the perspective of her.
Okay.
I do have other sources. I do have.
Did you believe her when she said this, that she was reluctant?
I did.
Okay.
I went from being one of these people that judged her to really feeling, I still think she made this was a bad choice.
Mm-hmm.
And she had babies for the wrong reasons. But anyway, we'll get there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she starts doing some talk show interviews and she's able to afford to move out on her own. Once in her new place, though, the media does not let up. And people who are consuming the media call CPS, of course.
Sure.
CPS comes to her door after multiple complaints from people, who saw her story. And they look through her home and speak with her. And it's determined that her kids are doing fine and everyone is well cared for and everything is fine.
Okay.
It looks like chaos. But
as fine as it can be with 13 children
mm-hmm.
and 8 of them, 13? 14? 14 children and 8 of them are infants.
With 1 adult.
I'm pretty sure that actually goes against the law.
I think it's like 9-1 for daycares.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so eventually her mom does apologize and starts coming around and helping with the kids. But Natalie is still unable to financially care for her kids, so she agrees to do more interviews, and eventually she does an adult video.
Oh.
To earn some money.
Okay.
But that also didn't really last, and she does eventually have to go on state assistance, which just really, how people feel about that in the first place.
Right, but then add to that she literally did choose to put herself in that position. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's sleeping about 2 to 3 hours per night. She's on.
This is when it turns into like a Stephen King novel.
No shit. No shit.
The tall man with the tall top hat starts showing up at 3:00 in the morning. And
Hat man.
Yes.
Yep. No kidding.
Something. I don't know.
Oh my God. She's on anti-anxiety medication, but she is fucking unraveling.
Of course she is.
Of course she is. She has a best friend that helps her quite a bit, but she really needs like round the clock nanny or 2, and she can't pay for that.
Right.
So her house goes into foreclosure. And at this point, she says that her decision to do IVS one last time was selfish and it harmed her kids. Like she finally says that.
She finally admits that she made a bad choice.
Yeah. She's offered like a full TV show with her and her kids, but she declines this offer because she doesn't want her kids on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And she eventually checks herself into rehab for mental health treatment.
I would just to go back a little, I would say it's not even so much the IVF decision that was so bad of a decision. It was the decision to not terminate any of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a decision to carry all of them to term or to birth all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So she checks into mental health treatment. When she arrives, she sleeps for 3 days straight.
Yep.
At this point, her 8 babies are 3 years old. And she does really well in treatment. And she is approaching her release date when she is offered a job by somebody at the treatment facility.
Okay.
Because her schooling prior to having babies was for like psychiatric care.
Yeah.
And she says that rehab saved her life. The pay is shit, but they offer her free housing.
Oh,
like she's going to live on the campus or whatever. And so she accepts the job and she's like super thrilled that she's never going to be on TV again as Octomom. So they're all settled in, doing well when her mom is diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer.
Oh, no.
So she has her mom move in with her, which she says was really like, it gave her an opportunity to pay it forward, to care for her mom after, you know, she had cared for her. In November of 2014, her mom passed away. Her father passed away from leukemia in 2021. She is currently working on her memoir, and in 2024, she welcomed her first grandkid.
Holy shit.
I know. The 8 babies are now 16 and they're all healthy and happy. And everyone's healthy and happy, I guess.
I think that must have been why I thought she was in the news. Maybe it's about the memoir that I heard.
Yeah, probably. And that's it. That's Octomom. You have judgments. And so do I.
I mean, it's just, as somebody who was a reluctant parent, let's be real.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not like planning to be a mom and having just the one, mostly because I was certain I would be shit at it. And I had no business raising another human being into this world. And, everything else. I have a button. There's a button that gets pushed when people are so selfish and careless with having children. Yeah. Which she made selfish and careless decisions. And she got lucky because any one of those 8 babies could have been fucked up, could have died before it ever left the hospital. Like she got really fucking lucky. You know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Sister.
You're welcome.
I can cross that off my list.
Okay, great.
Well, we did it.
We sure did.
We have all those world problems and we still managed to get an episode in the can.
That's right. That's right. Join the Chaos Kids Club. Be like Brett R.
Yes.
It's $5 a month. You get a bonus episode. You get regular episodes a day early. We occasionally have virtual wine night.
We have so much fun at virtual wine night too.
We got pictures over there. We can chat.
Also, you don't even have to pay. You can join our Patreon for free. You can see what we don't put behind the paywall and hang out with us over there anyway.
That's right.
Hey, write us a review. If you're listening to us on an Apple product, like go to the Apple Podcast app. You can typey a whole thing for us. But wherever you're listening, make sure you give us a rating because the more ratings we get, the better chance we have of other people finding us.
That's right.
I mean, unless, you want to keep us to yourselves. And I understand that. I do.
We want to keep
you. Liked
you.
us. We want to keep you to ourselves too. Yes. And, you liked us before it was cool. I get it. But we would really like it if more people were, hip to what we're doing over here.
Right.
So that would help us a lot. Sister, that was, wow. I love you. But fucking chaotic.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Wine and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers.
Excuse me, a little froggy.
You say that every episode.